Are you new to camping, caravanning or motorhomes and are wondering how to find good sites to stay at? Or have you been camping for years but are tired of going to the same old sites time and again? Well, in this video I'll show you my process for finding new and interesting sites to stay at, helping you to avoid any surprises or disappointments and potentially finding sites that are far more reasonably priced than a lot of the main sites. Hi, it's Dave T here, and we've been camping and caravanning for well over 20 years. And because I make films of each site for this YouTube channel, we seldom go back to the same site more than once. So over the years, I've worked out a pretty good system for finding sites and checking the surroundings before we get there. I'm currently planning a big overseas trip to a pretty unusual destination for UK caravans. So the challenge of finding good, interesting sites in a different country reminded me of how many UK site finding kind of tips and tricks I discovered over the years. So I thought I'd make this video to share my processes. I'll be filming that big trip, by the way, so don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you're notified when that gets posted. So the first thing to decide on is the general area that you are planning to visit. Usually this will be an entirely personal decision, so there's not much in terms of process to help you with this. However, sometimes you will be more interested in the facilities at or very near the site, in which case many of the search sites that I'll talk about will offer means of searching for facilities countrywide. For example, I'm actually looking at getting a kayak for that big overseas trip we're planning, so I'm looking for some riverside sites in the UK to practice at. UK Campsite has the ability to search for waterside pitches. Now this is only by region, but they do also have specialised campsite listings which have sites matching certain criteria, including a listing of campsites with boat and launching facilities or moorings, which gives me a list of suitable sites, saving an awful lot of time researching. Now, if you're just looking for a last minute getaway where the availability on certain dates is far more important than the location, then you do have a few options. The most obvious are the two main camping and caravanning clubs, and I'll talk about the clubs later, but they both have a large number of sites with a central booking system showing availability online. If you are interested in the Caravan and Motorhome Club's network of smaller sites, then the relatively new clbooking.co.uk has 268 CL sites listed on their system, which do show up-to-date availability. Okay, so to know how to find a site, we first do need to talk about the types of sites. And by type, I'm referring to the ownership and licensing rather than the facilities, etc. Now, broadly speaking, you can break up UK campsites down into three main categories: club-related sites, independent sites, and what I'm going to call informal sites. I'll cover these in reverse order since there's probably more to understand about club sites. Now, what I'm going to refer to as informal sites are often referred to as park-ups and are pretty much only used by campervans and motorhomes, so they're not something that I personally have a huge amount of experience with. Some of these are simply laybys where overnight parking is tolerated. Others are things like council or pub car parks where the landowner offers overnight parking for a usually small fee. Some will require you to sign up for an app service such as UK Air or BritStops. Independent sites, as you have probably guessed, are sites owned and operated by private companies as opposed to the main clubs. They will almost always have more than 5 pitches, but other than that could range from fairly small basic sites all the way up to very large leisure parks with clubhouses, restaurants, swimming pools and so on. The quality and atmosphere on these independent sites can vary significantly, with the larger, more family-orientated sites being more expensive, busier and probably noisier. Club sites are those operated or certificated by the main camping and caravanning clubs. There are other organisations ranging from small motorhome or specialist motoring groups through to large organisations such as the Scouts, but for this discussion I'm going to focus on the two main clubs. Both clubs own and operate their own sites, which I'll refer to as club main sites, which are often only for the use of club members. They are less commercial and tend to maintain a more constant level of standards. So if you want to visit different areas but still be confident in what to expect, then club sites are probably for you. There are just under 100 main sites between the two clubs, and annual membership of the two main clubs are £50 and £70 respectively. They also have the advantage of having websites which list details of all of their sites, including availability. Now, the other type of club-related sites are those certificated sites, but are not actually run by the clubs directly. They are known as certificated sites or certificated locations, depending on which club you're talking about. Now, I actually made a video called Low Cost Campsites, all about CL and CS sites, which I recommend you to watch. But the simple description of these sites is that they are small sites with 5 pitches or less, which do not require specific planning permission and are instead certificated by an appropriate organisation, so the clubs. To stay at a CL or CS site, you need to be a member of the related club, which will limit your choices of sites unless, of course, you join both clubs. It's worth noting that this is not a club or campsite rule, but part of the planning legislation under which these sites operate. So membership requirement is not generally negotiable. The even simpler explanation is that these are typically farm and smallholding based sites which range from bare minimum of facilities with just water and chemical toilet emptying, all the way through to full facility sites with toilets, games rooms and more. More than 80% of CL sites have electric hookup, and with almost 3,500 of them, there's usually a site near to wherever you want to stay in the UK. Now that you know what types of site there are, you are part of the way to being able to find them online. It's worth noting that if you join either of the 2 main clubs, then they do provide books of all of their club and certificated sites. But these are only reprinted every couple of years, so the best option is to look online. So starting with the club sites, the most obvious ways in which you can find them are through their related club's website. Apps are also available. These allow you to search by location or map, show availability for chosen dates of the main sites that is, and allow you to book those main sites directly online. You can also find CL and CS sites, but you cannot see availability, so you will have to phone or email the sites directly to inquire and book. If you're a member of the Caravan and Motorhome Club and are looking to book CL sites, then there is also clbooking.co.uk, which does show CL site availability. At the moment, it doesn't have all CLs, but it's a much better website to use in my opinion. For independent sites, there are a number of listing sites available online which do list them. These are very useful if you're a member of both clubs and want to see everything in one place. These types of sites require the actual campsites to register with them, so there's no guarantee that all sites will be on there, but they are still very useful. UK Campsite is actually a website that allows you to search about 8,000 UK independent and club sites, including certificated locations, as well as some overseas sites. It has comprehensive search facilities, including map-based searching. I've put this chart together showing a number of other websites, which types of sites they cover, the breadth of coverage and the features that they offer. I'll also put links for these in the description below. This is not an exhaustive list, so if you know of any other good websites for finding campsites, then let me know in the comments and I'll add those to the description also. Bear in mind that I've had to calculate some of the site counts, as not all websites make this sort of information readily available. Also, where I've indicated that they list different types of sites, that only indicates that they at least list some of those site types. If you're in a motorhome or camper van and just need somewhere to park for the night, then Search for Sites boasts that it has over 46,000 locations, but bear in mind that does include Europe as well. Now, some of those locations are service stations like the one I'm at now, so if you're in a caravan or a tent, then double check the legend to make sure what sort of site you're finding on Search for Sites. Otherwise, you'll be in for a nasty surprise. With over 8 million downloads, Park4Night is a popular website and app that lists a mixture of sites, parking spots and facilities across the globe. Importantly, both of these apps allow users to actually add sites. It's what they call crowdsourced data. So you are relying on reviews by other users to confirm the quality or even the legality of the sites. If you are doing a lot of traveling with the intention of doing some kind of free camping, then it's probably worth having these apps on your phone as a backup, but I'd be very wary of relying on it for a place to stop every single night. Pubs and restaurants, just like there's one behind me now, are the sort of places which often allow motorhome users to stop overnight or two for a fee. Now, these often list on specific website and apps which you have to sign up for some kind of fee, and this is true of BritStops, which is one of those apps, also has a printed book, and this pub behind me is a member of that. To join BritStops, it's about £30 per year. UK Airs is another similar app which again has sites which register with it, and then you have to book them through the app. In both cases, these are usually going to be things like sports clubs, pubs,
restaurants, stuff like that, which has got a car park. You can usually only stay there for 1 or 2 nights. I believe that's a planning limitation. And also there's usually an expectation to pay a small fee or at least purchase a meal or something like that. They generally have very limited facilities, so not suitable for caravans and certainly not for tents.
Now, once you've found some possible places using one of those listing websites, the next step is to check out what they are actually like. If available, then the reviews section of the listing site you used is a good place to start. Both of the main clubs allow members to post reviews of their main and certificated sites. When looking at reviews, check the dates, as a lot of certificated sites in particular don't get lots of reviews, so they may be old. Online reviews are always a bit of a minefield. I usually ignore bad reviews where the complaint is about an interaction with the owner, as it's often only half the story. I looked instead to see if there's a common theme across several reviews. I see a lot of people posting on Facebook asking if anyone knows of sites in a certain area, but this approach will get mixed results and really isn't very efficient. There are, however, several groups on Facebook for specifically reviewing sites, and you can then search those for site names. I'll list a few in the description. The best option though is to do your own research using readily available online tools, so it's time to talk about Google Maps. If you haven't used it before, then Google Maps allows you to search for place names, postcodes, or even latitude and longitude coordinates. It's free to use and shows road maps and aerial photos. The aerial view is the most useful to suss out an area, but you will first need to locate the actual site. The postcode will usually get you close, but especially with smaller sites, the actual pitches may be some distance from the stated postcode location. Often the search websites will show you the latitude and longitude coordinates, and these should get you a match much closer in Google Maps. Search around though, and you'll almost certainly spot the telltale white rectangles of caravan routes. The trick here is not to just look where the site is and find a route, but to spot good and bad things nearby. For example, is the area around the site too built up or too isolated for you? Or perhaps there's too much shade if you rely on solar power. And of course, not everyone wants to spend a week next to a pig farm. If peace and quiet is important for you, then look at the proximity of busy roads. And a tip here is that you can often tell if a road is busy by the number of cars on it in the aerial photo. And of course, check where the road goes, since a dead end is likely to have a lot less traffic. If you'd like to see a ground level view of the site, then Google Street View is the next thing to use. In Google Maps, zoom into the area you're interested in and drag the little man in the bottom corner onto the road nearest the site entrance. This will give you a 360-degree view that you can pan around or move as if you were actually there. It's especially useful on small sites where you may want to check the entrance. You can also move around this view, which is useful to check out the surrounding area though. If you're less confident at towing or navigation, then you can even start the street view back at a major road on the route and then check the approach route in advance. Sometimes nearby facilities and attractions are most important, and Google Maps also has an option for this. If you right click on the map, then you have an option to search nearby, and the items found are then shown as icons on the map. If you're interested in walking or cycling, then Ordnance Survey has a website and an app for viewing more detailed maps than Google does. The paid version gives you access to the full detailed 50k and 25k Explorer maps with all footpaths and bridleways and so on shown. The free version shows these in a simpler format, but it does still show things like contour lines if you want to see how hilly an area is. I've made a full review of the OS Maps app and website that I'll link in the description. I hope this video has given you some useful tips and ideas for finding great campsites to visit. If you have your own ideas, websites, apps and so on that you use that I haven't mentioned, then please do mention those in the comments below. If you have liked this video, then do hit that like button because it really does help the channel. And if you'd like to see other videos that I make, especially that big trip we're planning, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. But most of all, thanks for watching.